What's up, y'all? Welcome to another video. This is gonna be the first video for the front end fender inner processing. What I'm gonna be doing is pretty much kind of giving as much clearance as possible on the front aprons or strut towers for the wheel to tuck as much as possible. But now I'm gonna try to see how I can keep it clean because I got some goals I wanna do with the engine bay and I wanna make sure that everything is closed. So once I put the motor in, the engine bay looks clean. Yeah, it's a nice day in South Florida. Weather's beautiful. Let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about. This is gonna be cool because just to see how it comes out after everything is done. I've been waiting for this part. So let me go ahead and pretty much explain. The wheel pretty much contacts like this upper area, the front panel, the apron, as well as this back half. What I've seen in Japan, what they do is pretty much this upper rail, they pretty much have like a nice clean cut and they keep this upper rail here just more than likely just because they want to keep the fender bolts up top, but they pretty much open this clearance up here, right? And then the same thing as here, they cut inside the wheel well to raise it up. That helps give more clearance for the wheel itself. This will be open here, pretty much be cut, and this will have like a nice flush finish. That's the goal. I kind of want to keep everything closed as far as the bay because my goal is I want to have like the bay smooth when I get to that point. What I'm gonna do now though is I'm gonna remove the struts. I'm gonna take the wheel, mount the wheel on, check for like where it's gonna hit or for clearance and start just marking the areas. That's how I'm thinking of doing it. But yeah, let's go ahead and just move forward with just removing the struts on both sides. I'm gonna be focusing mainly on the driver's side throughout the process. As far as cutting and things, I'm not gonna just cut this side and then cut that side. I wanna go ahead and focus on doing the whole job on this side first, just so I know how it comes out, and then do the same thing on the passenger side. All right, so just to show you guys, I removed the strut on the driver's side, and I went ahead and I installed a strut bar just to give it a little bit extra support on the strut towers. I mean, I know it's probably not gonna be moving, but it's just a peace of mind while I'm working that nothing is shifting, nothing is moving. You know what I mean? It's stable and it's where it's supposed to be in its position. So I'll just check it out. All right, so move the strut, connected back the knuckle onto the upper control arm, and then I went ahead and bolted on the strut tower brace that I'm using. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install the wheel onto the knuckle. Unfortunately, I don't have my outer tie rod or the steering rack to help the car stay in its position like this, so it kind of sucks. But I'm trying to see how I can work without it. All right, so I scooped up the fender from my storage unit, brought it here so I can go ahead and see how I'm going to clear everything. Man, it's been a while since I had a wheel and a fender on the car. It looks sick to just finally see it with the wheel and everything, but it's not done. So basically I got this whole thing jacked up just so I can see more or less where I'm gonna be clearing it or how does it look according to the fender. So let me just go ahead and pop this fender off and show you guys how it's looking like. From jacking it up, this is the first point of impact of what it's gonna be hitting, as well as the back here. So my goal is, as far as this part, is cutting it maybe from like this point here and making a cut this way along here, keeping this upper part of the upper rail and then all the way on to here, so that it has more clearance on the top end. So let me see how I can draw that up and continue to work forward. All right, so this is what, I know it's a rough drawing or what I'm doing, but pretty much I'm just trying to kind of create or see how I'm gonna be doing the cutting on the outside part, pretty much making that arc. But now I gotta focus on the inside part, which is pretty much the most difficult part, I would say. And I need to know how far do I want to go? I'm thinking this is the area where the upper control arm contacts, like when it's to the farthest point, just right before that, probably somewhere here. So it has all this clearance for the wheel to go in. So I'm gonna take the wheel out right now and I'm gonna look on the inside. All right, so I got my rough lines once I took the wheel out on where I want to do the cut. As you guys can see. And then I also kind of did a rough line of it from the inside. So pretty much, it's not a perfect line, but you guys can see it goes along there. It looks kind of weird just because you would think like, hey, well, you're cutting it up here. How is it gonna match there? With the sheet metal, once I cut it up to a certain, once I cut it up here, the sheet metals, what I'm gonna make is it's gonna be in like an angle all along. So once I make that sheet metal shape, it's gonna go, it's gonna have that curve and an angle so that the sheet metal can lay in right in there. So yep, so next step is getting the cutting. All right, following up, I did the second cut. I didn't want to just chop the whole thing all in once. I kind of just want to put in like in sections just to make sure, I'm doing the right thing. I'm really cutting it as short as possible. I don't want to cut it all the way if I don't need to. So that line that I have there, I'm just cutting it a little bit before, just in case. So as you guys can see on the opposite side of the strut tower, more towards the firewall, I cut that piece out. This is all gonna have to come out too. But I was cutting this while I was cutting here, so that's why this part come out. But now it'll be a little bit easier to cut this. All right, and now I'm gonna go ahead and cut the rest of the strut tower underneath, and hopefully this part should come all off. All right, so I finished the first initial cut, and I was too excited to go ahead and try to see how this thing will look. Nothing is hitting it. Well, let me show you guys what this looks like. There's enough clearance on the front and in the back. Now remember, I still haven't adjusted the lower control arm. Well, I have adjusted it, but I want more camber, so hopefully that's enough clearance. I think it's gonna be enough clearance. I mean, like I said, this car can roll now tucked. So best thing about doing it this way is I kept all my factory mounting points for the fender. So the fender's in its correct position. And I didn't mess with anything as far as the radiator support. I kept everything original. But at least keeping it this way, now I can go ahead and create the sheet metal along and make that wheel arc. So let me go ahead and take off the fender so you guys can see that. So this is how it looks like without the fender. Plenty of clearance right there. The front is pretty good, as well as the back. So now I'm just gonna probably clean it all up with a grinder, and then I'll be working on creating the sheet metal. But before I do all that, I'm gonna close out this video on just pretty much doing the cutting. The sheet metal did come in. I ordered 20 gauge sheet metal, 4 pieces of like 36 by 36 inch. Hopefully that's enough for both sides. I don't know, but at least that's plenty of supply that I can go ahead and work with, at least for one side for sure. So like I said, the sheet metal that I purchased is 20 gauge, a little bit thinner, just because it's a little bit more flexible. Maybe it's easier to shape. So yeah, I'm gonna close out this video now. Stay tuned. Peace.